Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Klonoa for the Nintendo Wii / Klonoa Daughter Phantomile remake, for simply put for the Japanese version of the Klonoa game for the Wii. So yeah, that's as far as I can really must describe about that particular stuff at the beginning. So anywho though, so last time we did manage to completely done with Vision 2-1 and Vision 2-2. So even then though, today for this video is the fact that we're about to be continuing on and moving on to Vision 3-1. So even then though, we're about to be hitting back into the forms of the actual full lock forest. So even then though, that's only because of how the fact that now we can able to actually investigate to see how the fact that some things have been come alive. Well, to be more specifically, every single, trees has now come back to life now.
Thanks for the ride, Corral!
It was my pleasure. Be careful, okay?
So talking of which, is the fact that unlike the PlayStation 1 version of that specific cutscene, that cutscene only happens after when you completed Vision 2-2, but for whatever reason on the Wii version they managed to able to show that scene before you get started with Vision 3-1. So even though that was a little bit of an odd choice, but even then though, that's only because I don't know what to be more specific for that specific details, but even then though, let's just get things onto it with Vision 3-1, and basically we need to go to the left because we need to rescue someone that's usually in here.
Are you okay? Who would do such a terrible thing?
You two, not be with those others then? I'm Klonoa from Wind Village.
And my name is Yupo.
You saved me. Have my thanks. I, keeper of gondolas. I make gondolas move for you now.
Really? Thank you so much. That would really help.
Pump Scoopy! What have we here? It looks like those little brats are still at it. Well, I guess I have no other choice. Now listen carefully, you lot. I need you to hide all the keys to the doors, understood? Don't just sit there! Get going! You have long way go. Take great care.
We will. Thank you.
Now, I don't suppose I've actually mentioned about this earlier, is the fact that I feel like the balancing issues between the forms of, the actual, sound mixing in this version of the game, specifically on the English dub, voices and all that stuff, it just feels kind of like, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it in Sonic Adventure 2 sometimes, where I feel like the sound mixing, well, specifically the Dreamcast version, and especially noticeable with the HD versions of the game, did manage to able to have some sound mixing issues. Like, you can't hear the voice acting very well, but at least I did manage to give the PlayStation 1 version some credit for, is the fact that you can able to actually hear the Phantomile voices no problem in during the transmission between cutscenes and all that stuff. Well, there's nothing nitpicking or anything like that, it's just that I just found out to be kind of hard to hear the actual regular English voiceover sometimes because of the actual sound mixing sometimes. So even then though, that being said though, today's day is the forms of the 25th of, what's today's day? It's the 25th today on the June month in 2019. So naturally, we're almost there towards the very end of the first half of 2019 year. So as a result of that particular stuff, that there's some quite few things I just want to mention about this potentially. Is the fact that, well, first of all, I managed to went to see Toy Story 4 recently during the likes of it yesterday, because I don't think I've actually mentioned about this during yesterday's video just because I was busy doing something like this. And second of all is the fact that I managed to able to rewatch the first film and the second film and the third film all in one particular day alone, so that makes it an entire marathon after able to actually just about to be doing. The only exception to this, however, though, is of course Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. The adventure begins, because it's more likely just the pilot of the TV series, which is basically, you know, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. So even then, I haven't really watched that TV series as much compared to the pilot episodes, just because, well, you know how the pilot episode works, right? It's basically, it's like a prologue to the original TV series or something like that. So, you know, kind of like in other films, like for instance, The Return of Jafar is basically a pilot episode of the TV series Aladdin TV series and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the same thing from here, but honestly, I don't think I actually included that just for the sake of the forms of like, well, at this point, I managed to able to finally get a chance to watch Toy Story 4 after about 4 days, or in this case 3 days delay, since yesterday potentially. And what do I think about it for my first final thoughts, or my final thoughts of the actual film itself? Well, though, again, I'm not going to spoil the actual story too much, because thanks to the forms of the actual books marketing, they just for some reason spoiled up the story majorly. So even then, I'm not going to spoil the actual story, especially noticeable at the ending portion, because even then I'll probably let you guys see it for yourself. So even then, what do I think about Toy Story 4? It is amazing, just like it informs of how it does it on the previous 3 films, and I'm very happy that I managed to able to finally get a chance to watch Toy Story 4 at long last. And even then, because we always keep on mentioning about that, since I think last time we mentioned about this was actually by the forms of in Christmas 2015 unboxing special video, and definitely did actually mention about the fact that originally Toy Story 4 was supposed to be released in 2017, but it's been replaced by the forms of Cars 3, and then it decides to delay that in 2018, but it was replaced by Incredibles 2, which I really don't mind. Between those 3 films, specifically, oh yeah, I forgot to mention about Coco especially, so even then, I really don't mind about those 3 films too much. Like Cars 3 was actually kind of a good one, not the best films I've ever seen so far, but Coco and The Incredibles, oh man, they are so spectacular. And even then though, that it doesn't even compare to the, well, it doesn't feel nearly as perfect as the Toy Story films in my opinion, just because, oh man, Toy Story 4, visually speaking, it looks absolutely incredible, just like the ones and how it does it in the first and the second one, and especially noticeable with the third one. So, but hey, at least I'm really looking forward to able to rewatch that film again, not on the big screen though. I'll have to wait until when the DVD is about to be, you know, just about to be arriving at some point. So even then, my expectations about the actual film's release date on DVD, it might be similar to the forms of how it does it on most UK versions of the Pixar films. Well, the only exception is Coco, and especially noticeable with Up, and especially noticeable with I would classify for saying like The Good Dinosaur, because even then though those films didn't actually came out about a year later or sometime. So even then though, that my guess is the fact that it might be releasing at some point in October or November, because I could assume that out of all the Pixar films they ever saw to release between in every single country throughout, that Toy Story 4 managed to able to release on exactly the same days as between each countries and all that stuff. Like they did release it on America, and especially noticeable in our country, which is the United Kingdom. I'm not exactly sure about the Japanese version about it though, but I'll definitely find out sooner or later. But even then, I'll just mention more now during a future time. But for now on though, let us go ahead and just go to this little particular 2D section that reminds me of the special stage from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But except the fact that there was no half pipes or anything like that, so we just have to like jump for those little dangerous hazards and all that stuff. So everything else to be expected at some point. So, oh wow, I just got hit right there. Anyways though. And another thing I want to talk about this is the fact that I've managed to able to, well, I completely forgot to mention about this since the very beginning of this Let's Play, or this redo Let's Play of Klonoa for the Wii Let's Play. Recently, I managed to able to finally got myself my two versions of Crash Team Racing Nitro Field for both the PlayStation 4 and also for the Nintendo Switch, because obviously, most likely forms of how it does it on the Insane Trilogy, that I managed to get the PlayStation 4 version so I can get my first experience of the game, and especially noticeable with the Nintendo Switch version as well, just for the sake of the forms of like playing it on the go. So even then, that's the only reason why I just managed to able to purchase, well, same applies by the forms of in Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania Plus, respectively, between both the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch version simultaneously. And I'm guessing that Spyro Reunited Trilogy will be happening too, because that version finally coming out on the Nintendo Switch for Spyro Reunited Trilogy, so even then at least I can able to pick up that game at some point. So even then I can able to get some proper experiences of the original trilogy on the Nintendo console. So even then though, that it's been such a long time actually since when I don't know about you, but even then though, that's besides the point. So anyways, let's go ahead and grab the blue jewel, if I'd like to be more precise for that part. And let's go up onto those little staircase, and when we get to this point here, the level ends.
I guess this is as far as we can go. Huh? Who are you?
Chichkupa! Not worry. That's just greeting in Borlock. Oh, okay.
Chichkupa. Excuse me, but we were actually trying to get to the Chiefess.
What? You people also try capture Chiefess? No, we just want to talk. Then, all right. Chiefess house captured by strangers. Guards forced out. Shameful. Captured?
I guess that means we're too late. But maybe there's still something we can do.
You will go, but it's dangerous. Hunkara! Here, you ride this. Whoa! You help save Chiefess. Go now.
Go? Go where?
Pumpscoopy! Wow! Best luck!
So yeah, talking of which also is the fact that on the Wii version they just managed to call her Chiefess as far as the actual I don't know what you would call it per se, because it's hard to pronounce those particular stuff very well or trying to explain on that kinds of stuff, but unlike the PlayStation version of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, they just simply call her Granny, because obviously that actually represents of what's going to be happening with the forms of that particular the knowledge of the actual Moon Kingdom. So, although I may be wrong, but even then, no, that's besides the point. So anyways, let's head into the forms of this is where the level starts to get a little bit slightly longer as well as puzzle heavy. So even then, onwards to Vision 3-2. So even then, let's see how this one actually plays out. But if you played the PlayStation version before, you know exactly how this sounds.
That was rough.
See, I still really like the fact that when you start the level off, you're basically going to be able to actually get onto that little, I wouldn't say a football net or anything like that, or like goal net or anything like that, so even then, it kind of inspires by the forms of some of these football soccer stuff. So anyway, so let's get into the forms of Vision 3-2, where basically we need to keep on going backtracking most of the time until you're able to actually solve as many of those puzzles along the way. So especially noticeable whenever we get to that point where obviously we can't do anything around in that specific way, as you can see on screen, that we can't exactly go there just yet though, or continue on with this way, because obviously the actual platforms doesn't move, but the only reason why we need to go in here is because we need to obtain the key just in case we can able to actually proceed to the actual level. So just in case if we could expect it that we could actually missing on something or something like that, I don't know. So even then, I will admit though right away for this point, folks, I do apologize with the commentary sake of all this, because obviously it's been such a quite few days since actually coming back into commentary on certain parts. It's because, well, obviously I was been going off for about a few days, as I said before, since, you know, no lack of uploads in between, you know, the 21st to the 22nd of June, just because that, you know, how me and Tiana managed to able to enjoy ourselves for our hotel vacation, which I will admit though, that was actually really, really great vacation that me and Tiana just had. It even ended up that we had a nice little chill out on that gorgeous crystal blue water swimming pool and stuff like that, as well as walking down to the beach and stuff like that, which is always a good time. And why is my hovering does not work for half the time? Oh jeez, that was pretty bad for my part, but at least we got an extra life back. So anywho though, so yeah, we did manage to have ourselves an enjoyable time together, and as a result though, I managed to finally coming back onto the forms of the uploading schedules on some of these YouTube videos and all that stuff. So even then though, I'm very pleased to able to actually noticing that. So speaking of which, actually, is the fact that we've already got about less than 2 days left, potentially right now, until when Super Mario Maker 2 comes out for the Nintendo Switch, which I'm still really hyped for that game, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to able to actually just to play that. And for those of you who still managed to play through Super Mario Maker 1, unfortunately they only got about like 3 more, or in this case, potentially speaking, they've only got about 3 more days to go until, well, less than 3 days to go potentially as well, that they'll be able to be playing Mario Maker 1 for such a quite a while. So even then though, that's only because they, you know, similar to the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, and especially noticeable with, oh yeah, there's an egg there, so even then, let's see what's inside in here. Of course, once you know it, there's another extra life, so hopefully we'll get some more extra lives until in the future though, and it looks like I definitely need to get myself the actual enemy projectile, just in case I can able to activate the actual, the egg inside. So let's see what we got inside. Of course, one of the villagers that we've rescued.
My goodness, arrived already, have we? Unfortunately, you're just a little too late. So I'll be going on ahead of you.
So yeah, Joker, once again, he did manage to able to actually keep the door locked, so even then we need to get our key from here. So even then, let's go ahead and just, before we continue things on, let's go ahead and see what's in here. Just a blue jewel of any sort. So even then, we'll just have to, like, pass through all that. So let's go ahead and grab this enemy, and sure enough, we can able to get ourselves our next piece of our villagers, as far as I'm most likely aware of, and son of a biscuit. Anyways though, so let's go ahead and just keep on moving. Actually, there was an, just probably just double checking on certain parts, because other than the fact that I do know there was an egg right there, but it might be entirely optional for me for able to actually just hatch that out. So even then though, because I'm most likely aiming for villagers to rescue for, so even then though that, yeah. And of course, we need to use the bomb type enemies, because otherwise if you manage to let it explode, then the switch activates.
What's this? You managed to get pretty far. But if you want the key, you're going to have to make it all the way up here. Of course, there's no way you'll be able to do that.
So yeah, just like if you ever played the PlayStation version, is the fact that this particular section is a lot of emphasis on the double jump chain reaction, but once you reach up to the top, you should be able to do it no problem.
I can't believe it! How did you get up here? Well then, I guess it's time for me to go.
Typical Joker. He never learns his hard method of able to actually doing so. So anyway, so yet again we've actually got ourselves a key, because that does need to require it to able to actually continue throughout the majority of the levels. So, but I digress though. So as I mentioned before about the fact that with these bomb type enemies that we need to activate the switches from about a few seconds ago, well, it's all basically timed. So even then though, if you run too slow on that section, well, you have to redo the entire bomb timing thing all over again. So even then though, you have to do a little bit of a timing work going on right there. So anyways, I believe the switch order is exactly the same order as the PlayStation version, so it's usually left, right, and center at the end. So, but once you figured this out, then obviously the actual level will now start to able to continue on. So even then, now the actual cogwheels, or especially noticeable with these machinery stuff, is now able to actually access and moving again. So even then, that way you can able to do some more stuff. As you can see right there, this is an exclusive move ability that Klonoa actually uses, specifically in the Wii version of the game. This is actually called a whirlwind, and basically what that does, although I found it's rarely usable, because even then though that it might be considered to be kind of okay to use, especially if you're first time ever experience Klonoa Daughter Phantom game to begin with. Basically, it actually able to actually temporarily slows the enemies down, and in order to actually activate that, I'm assuming you need to able to shake the Wii remote, assuming if you're able to actually use the Wii remote to begin with, or especially noticeable with the nunchuck of the Wii remote and nunchuck combo. Now, I'm not exactly sure about the GameCube controller though, because I managed to able to actually rarely looked upon the controls on the GameCube controller. So even then though, that's only because I wasn't paying that much attention to it, but even then though, that's just besides the point. So, but I digress though. But even then though, as far as the whirlwind abilities as far as I'm concerned, I rarely used it anyway. So even then though, that it might be helpful in some parts, but it's just that I rarely use that, just to show you guys how that particular ability works. So that way it just usually just makes the enemy slows down for about a few seconds. So once the whirlwind has now been exhausted though, even though it happens, I believe you can only able to use that infinitely as much as you want, but you can able to actually use that wisely. But then again, I rarely used it anyway, just for the sake of what the actual moveset is actually all about. So I digress though. So anyways, let's hop into this little lift right there, and sure enough, we can able to actually fight against the next boss in the game. So even then though, you get the idea.
Would you just tell me what you know already? If you don't start cooperating, I'm going to make things very uncomfortable for you.
No, I tell you nothing.
All right, if that's the way you're going to be. I don't care if you are an old woman. I won't go easy on you. Joker! You two again? Don't you ever give up? In that case, I'll just get rid of you all at once. Gelg, Bolm, I'm counting on you. Well, it was nice knowing you. Gelg, Bolm, watch out for attacks from above.
And speaking of the third boss in this entire Klonoa Daughter Phantom game, it doesn't matter what version you be playing. Here we go with Greg Blum, which is basically you need to use the enemy to able to actually... What the hell? Jeez, I think I did my bad timing on this particular fight. I will say though is that out of all these two different variations, or in this case the two versions of the actual boss fights themselves, I think to me the third boss in the Wii version of the game is actually a lot harder compared to the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation version in my opinion, because for one thing, I feel like the timing where it comes to doing a the double jump chain reaction on the Wii version can get pretty much a fickle at points, and especially noticeable how the fact that since I'm using the I just really hate the fact that there is a lack of invincibility frames still present here. And I understand by the forms of some challenge around here, but honestly, I just wish there was invincibility frames that you can able to actually just, well, every time you get hit by certain enemies, well, I'm just really hoping that the invincibility frames should able to help me as much. But, too bad that's not the case for this point here. So even then, let's go ahead and... Oh, jeez. I think I'm gonna get screwed over, aren't I? Yep, I'm gonna get screwed over. Yep, I'm screwed over. Ah, dang it. But yeah, this is what I mean when it comes to this boss fight sometimes in the Wii version, is the fact that I always found this guy to be a lot harder than the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation version, because in the PlayStation version, especially noticeable that I'm pretty much used to with the DualShock 1 controller on the PlayStation controller, or in this case the PlayStation 3 controller, because, you know, the PlayStation 1 games backwards compatibility and stuff like that. But to me, I always find that a little bit of a trickier situation on the GameCube controller on the Wii version of the game. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to be demonstrating that on the Wii remote on its own, but even then though, that it might actually be pretty good when it comes to 2D platforming and stuff, but either way though, that's just besides the point. So, but I digress, it's the exact same boss fight as you remember from the PlayStation version, but except the fact that I feel like the timing on this boss fight can get a little bit slightly snappier or trickier compared to the forms of the PlayStation version in my opinion, just because, well, assuming if I need to be very careful with the forms of some other enemies as well as other projectiles and all that stuff, holy crap, I easily gonna get hit multitude of times because of my timing is a little bit of a timing errors and stuff like that. So, but then again, after a full amount of hits, then he's pretty much done for good. See, but then no, that pretty much does it for Vision 3-2.
Chiefess, he didn't hurt you, did he?
I'm much too old for this. Anyway, you saved me. Have my thanks.
Chiefess, Grandpa told us that we should come and see you. Because we found a moon pendant.
Know already. Need not say all. King of Darkness, reawakened. Moon pendant, songstress Lafis, and a dream not of this world. All as legend foretold.
What legend?
A dream not of this world.
According to legend, the moon pendant is mystic key that summon Moon Kingdom. Prepare altar in Temple of Sun, and with that, road will open.
What's the Temple of the Sun?
Well, I've heard stories about a huge temple that floats in the sky. But how are we supposed to get there?
Where be Moon Pendant now?
It's with Grandpa back at home.
Evil ones pursue. Take great care, hide well. I see, so that's where it is. I must say, listening into your conversation has been most enlightening indeed. Joker!
Listening in on people is cheating.
Not at all, it's just a different kind of strategy. You said that the pendant was at your home, correct? Then I'll have to go and pay a visit before you can get there. And Chiefess, thank you for all that helpful information. Now it's time to say adios. Hey, you, stop!
Grandpa's in danger! We have to hurry!
Right!
Take Wind Ruin's path, shortcut to your home.
Great, that's perfect! Thank you!
But much more danger than normal road. Take great care.
Right!
So yeah, it looks like Joker managed to listen to the forms of where the moon pendant is actually located, so we need to stop him no matter what. And by the way, with the chiefest character slash granny on the PlayStation version, Although, to be honest with you, we might as well call her Chiefess on this version of the game. She actually got the English voiceover, which is actually performed by Jessica Stress, so I just want to point things out. So join me next time on Let's Play Klonoa for the Nintendo Wii. It's the fact that we're about to be hit on to Vision 4-1 and all that jazz. So see you guys then.